our next story is going to be told by Debra Hanna. Debra is one of 3 siblings in this family. And today she's here to honor the life and the memory of her parents. And we wish her well. It's going to be a tough story. So welcome, Debra, to the stage. And here we are. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I was the lucky one that got the short straw where I get to do my story right before lunch. So if I hear your stomachs growling, I won't be offended. So enjoy. Are you sure, officer? John and Irene Marshlock. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Their passports were in the car. On November 12th, 2012, that's when John and Irene's love story continued in the heavens up above. A day many people will never forget. Let's back up of their love story. I'd like to take you on a journey of love, compassion, sadness, commitment, and friendship. Well, my version of it anyway. That was adapted from the 50th wedding anniversary presentation that my sister Barbara, brother Christopher, and I put together for our parents. Because Mom and Dad were so blessed with so many family and friends that they adored, I decided to keep people's name out of the story with the exception of our own immediate family. A long time ago, on January 31st, 1931, John Robert was born to the proud parents of Catherine and George Marshlock, where he grew up in Norman, Ontario. On November 4th, 1941, Irene Rosilda Marie was born to the proud parents of Leona and Joseph Flammarion, where she was born in St. Boniface, Manitoba, and their family moved to Kenora. They both grew up with their parents and siblings, and then that magical moment happened in about the year 1958-59. John and Irene met, and they fell in love. From what I understand, Grandma, Mom's mom, wasn't too thrilled about her her daughter being with the Ukrainian. I believe the phrase she used to describe my dad at first was bull hunk. But that didn't stop their love from growing and Dad asking Mom to marry him. So on June 11th, 1960, they had a beautiful church wedding where Irene wore her beautiful white satin gown and Dad his white, sharp-looking black suit and his hair slicked back. They celebrated with their family and friends with a dinner and dance. And then, isn't coming up very good here. Oh, there we go. There we go. And then off they rode into the sunset to start their married life together in Kenora. Well, as we all know it, Norman, Ontario. 11 months later, so pretty much means right away, Mom got pregnant, and May 11th, 1961 was the birth of their first beautiful daughter, Barbara Ann Marie. Barbara blessed their lives on her own for 22 months. Our parents like to have a good time, if you know what I mean. Then 22 months later, they were blessed with another beautiful daughter, Debra Alice Marie, that would be me, in March of 1963. Barbara liked to be the only child, so she had a little problem adjusting to her new baby sister. But with the love and support of our parents, she grew to accept the fact that I wasn't going away. Now, this is really when my stories start to begin, and I only have 1,500 words left. Just not sure how I can do it all in that many time. But a few years later, Mom did get pregnant again. Unfortunately, about 3 months into the pregnancy, she had a miscarriage. This brought sadness to the family, with hope that someday they could try again. I remember being called the monkey of the family, and I loved being the youngest child. My sister and I had our parents all to ourselves. Dad worked at the paper mill as a painter, and Mom worked at the hospital in the laundry area. As we continued on our journey as a family of 4, 9 years later, there we go. Sorry. I don't know why I'm having trouble, but 9 years later, in December 1971, a handsome baby boy was born, Christopher John. They finally got their boy, and I was no longer the monkey of the family. He was. Chris was pretty sick when he was a baby, and it was hard on our parents to watch one of their children go in and out of the hospital. They did stick together, supported each other, and made it through those challenging times. So the 4 became 5. As John and Irene continued their journey together, they kept busy with their family and working. We would go on different family vacations, and the one I remember the most was when we all went to Surrey, BC, with our Baba and Guido to visit our aunts, uncles, and cousins. Mom was not able to get the time off from the hospital, and because she was determined to go on the trip with us, she actually quit. Mom and Dad decided together that the family trip was way more important than Mom's job, so off we went to BC. This was the first time my sister, brother, and I flew on an airplane. I remember us going to the ocean for the first time and picking seashells. It was a family time. I have a family trip I haven't forgotten. Mom and Dad loved to take family pictures. Well, okay, Mom did. And something was telling Mom that it was time to take another family picture. So in December 2011, Mom arranged the date and time, and we all made sure to get there to get another family picture. After the pictures were taken, Mom and Dad stayed behind and made sure the bill was paid. We all agreed we would pay for the pictures. Then we all went for lunch as we were celebrating my brother's 40th birthday. Mom then made an announcement that Dad paid for all the pictures, and she started to cry as she was so happy we had the pictures taken and that Dad bought them for all of us. She was so proud for paying for them, and we were so thankful because little did we know this would be our last professional family picture. I am so glad that we did take another family photo. Now let me tell you about Mom and Dad's pride and joy, well, beside my brother, my sister, and I, the granddaughters. My daughter Samantha Kay was born in January 1988, and my daughter Miranda Rose was born April 1991. Along came Barb's daughters, Crystal Lynn, in June of 1991, and her other daughter, Nicole Marie, in May 1993. When these beautiful granddaughters were born, our parents were so proud and excited. They adored their granddaughters just as much as the granddaughters adored them. And I'm sure many of you out there have actually even seen photos, because Mom used to carry, a photo book in her purse and would flash it at everybody. When Mom and Dad would talk about them, their faces would light up with big smiles. And we can't forget the rest of the family. Miles, who is Crystal's partner, Carrie, who is my husband, and Rob, who is Barb's husband. When I married Carrie, we asked Dad to say something at the reception, and we all got a kick out of his speech, of course, when he said, well, she did do this before, so hopefully she got it right this time. I did, Carrie. Mom and Dad did get the opportunity to meet Rob, but unfortunately, they weren't there to celebrate Barb and Rob's wedding. I had an opportunity to officiate their ceremony and did feel their presence. So, sis, they were with us. During the 50th wedding anniversary celebration, Dad looked at his granddaughters and said, I hope one day you give me grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And lucky for us, Carter Eric John was born October of 2011 to the proud parents of Crystal and Miles. The family was blessed with a little boy that we all hope someday will play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And sorry, but I have to leave the Leaf story for another time. Mom and Dad did get a chance to see Carter turn 1. In November 2014, just a little over 2 years after the death of Mom and Dad, Crystal and Miles blessed this family again with Lily Rose. What am I doing wrong? Not sure why this isn't working. Oh, there we go. Oh, I gotta back up. I do know they are watching over her and would be just as proud and joyful about her as they were the other grandchildren. Well, you already saw the other photo. Not only did Mom and Dad have the love and joy for each other, their family and friends, but also for the community. They used to love doing things together like Kinsman Connect, be involved in the Norman Community Club, and they would bowl and curl together. When we were kids, we used to attend a lot of Kinsman picnics and went on family trips to places like Fort Francis and Dryden for conventions with them. We also had a lot of babysitters and overnighters at grandparents' houses because they would want to attend all the functions. They didn't want to miss any. They also understood the importance of their own individuality. Mom was involved in Canadian Daughters, the Catholic Women's League, and she loved to play bingo. Mom also would sell pierogies and cabbage rolls, and she was proud of Dad when he would help her peel potatoes and clean up after her. She would even give him a share of some of her profits. Mom loved to work, and when she retired from the Lakeview, now Co-op, and Zellers, she found it very hard to retire, that she even went back to work as a Walmart greeter. People had told me that they miss Mom there because she just didn't smile and say hello. She actually gave people big hugs. And everybody wonders why I'm so huggy. Dad was an avid fisher and hunter in his early years. I remember him getting up for those early morning fishing and hunting trips. Mom wouldn't do the cleaning up after those trips, though. So, it really wasn't a two-way street on that stuff. But after Dad retired from the paper mill at the young age of 55, he got into golfing, and he loved his golfing. He was excited the day he won his golf cart when he was in a tournament in Regina. Dad loved his darts and all as well, and was heavily involved in doing the statistics for the club. Dad kept busy after his retirement years and would go do painting jobs and drive cars for one of the local dealerships. He got his green thumb from his parents as he continued on the tradition of gardening. Mom and Dad loved spending time together and would never sleep in separate beds. I truly believe they invented spooning. When we kids would watch the Roadrunner and Coyote, Dad would say that he's the coyote chasing after Mom. We used to laugh and think that was pretty funny. The red velvet cake was a big family tradition, and Mom kept the tradition going. Dad loved that cake, and although that cake is a pain to make, my sister and I are keeping the tradition going. When Mom and Dad would go to dances and socials, I used to love watching them dance together. I bet they're even dancing in heaven right now. The celebrations for Mom and Dad were endless. Every milestone birthday and anniversary were celebrated. Well, it seemed like it anyway. They just didn't want to have a few people. They wanted all their family and friends. Barb and I became very good party planners. I grew up in two houses in Norman. One was when we lived beside Baba and Guido, and then the other was the one when we moved in after Baba died. Dad would take care of the renos, the yard and the bills, and Mom would take care of the food, cleaning, laundry, and taking care of us. Yes, they were traditional roles, but they knew they could count on each other when they needed help. When Mom used to cook spaghetti, and if anyone asked how she knew if the pasta was done, she would grab a piece of spaghetti out of the pot and throw it up against the wall. Dad would get upset because when you remove the spaghetti, it would dry, and so the paint would come off, and then that meant Dad had to do more renos. Our house was always so inviting, and our parents were so welcoming. We had many people live with us on and off, and lots of visitors. Mom and Dad decorated both inside and out every holiday season. And there were Mickey Mouse, butterflies, pins, golf balls, and all other collections all over the house. Mom and Dad went through a lot of ups and downs together. Their love, compassion, commitment, and years, maybe even stubbornness, is what kept those two together for 52 years. Not only was their love story for each other strong, but also for their family and friends. The love that everyone had for them was so evident with the support showing during their celebrations, including when they died. The visits, the food, the flowers, the gifts, the cards, the notes, the phone calls, and almost 1,000 people showing up at their funeral was truly a sign of how loved they were. Our family is still very thankful for all the love and support we had then and still do get today. This love story has no end because on November 12th, 2012, they went together in heaven, in the heavens up above. Neither one of them have to be without the other. I am who I am today because of these amazing people. Together, they are both watching over us with pride, joy, and big smiles on their faces. Our lives are not the same without you, Mom and Dad. We love you and miss you terribly. Keep on dancing.